The last season is upon us, and even though I haven't traditionally talked much about Game of Thrones, it's one of my absolute all-time favorite shows. Super excited, but also super sad that this is the last season, and episode 1 was only like 54 minutes long. I want to do a quick recap and a quick review of the episode. I'm going to go through a lot of the episode, or most of the episode, so there are spoilers ahead. It's an actual recap of the episode itself and some of my thoughts on and predictions on what's going on. So if you don't want certain things ruined, then just leave for now and then come back and we can do a recap together. If you've already seen it, stick around, but just be warned, there will be spoilers in this. And one thing about Game of Thrones is people don't want to know what's going on at all, because there's so many surprises around every corner in Game of Thrones. You never know what's going to happen. So let's kick off with the start of episode 1, season 8. So Daenerys and Jon Snow arrive in Winterfell with their huge armies right now. So they're greeted. This is like a big kind of like callback, throwback to episode 1 of season 1, where you had Robert Baratheon, Queen Cersei, Jaime Lannister all arriving and being greeted by Ned Stark and his family at Winterfell. This is like really, like, you're going to feel a lot of sort of callback, throwback type of thing happening here. It's definitely mimicking that first episode in season 1. It's very, very similar. It's got that kind of eerie kind of feeling to it. You know that you know that it's intentional, and I love it. I love how they did that. It definitely feels like season 1, and I wish it was season 1, because I could just watch Game of Thrones forever. I wish it would continue forever. Unfortunately, it's not going to. So they have arrived, and I think a really awesome part to this was where Arya sees this little boy quickly scrambling to try and climb up to the highest point to see this massive army entering Winterfell. And she glances at him and lets out this cute little smile, because that was her not too long ago in Winterfell when Robert Baratheon's army and family were arriving with the Lannisters. Now she's obviously a stone cold killer, and she's a grown-up, even though she's still super young in the show. The things that she's been through with the Faceless Men and the training and you know, all the assassinations and stuff, she's grown up very, very quickly, and she's probably one of the most dangerous, lethal characters, vicious killers there is in the show, which is awesome. I love the character, and it was also a very cool scene where you know that she kind of could feel the excitement of that kid, because that was her in Winterfell originally. Now she's this big grown-up, vicious, stone-cold killer, and she's waiting for the army to arrive and her half-brother Jon Snow, who she hasn't seen for a long time. So there's going to be a lot of reunions in this episode as well. The thing about the North, though, is they're not very trusting or welcoming people. They're not very happy that Daenerys is here, and she can sense that. She looks around and sees the faces on people, maybe hears some remarks, things like that, and she knows. You could feel Jon Snow's looking at her and he's thinking, yeah, I know, like, the North aren't very welcoming. And he even said something like that. Northmen aren't very welcoming. People in the North aren't exactly, you know, warm or welcoming. And she definitely feels it. She might not be comfortable, but she knows that this is the right thing to do for now. So she might not actually be happy, but she's there nonetheless, and she understands that the North isn't that welcoming. But she's very, very nice. When she meets Sansa, she compliments how beautiful the land is and how beautiful she is. She's very, very welcoming, and she definitely is very polite. But Sansa, there's definitely a bit of coldness from Sansa. I don't know if she's just trying to, you know, live up to the North people's reputation and just be cold and kind of unwelcoming, always suspicious and not trusting. But there's definitely a bit of coldness there, and something's definitely going to play out in a future episode with Sansa and Daenerys. I don't know where it's going, but Sansa has become quite a clever game player compared to her younger self, that I felt was a little bit oblivious and stupid back in the younger days when she was falling in love with Joffrey. It's like everyone else could see Joffrey was so evil, and she's like, no, I want to have lovely blonde children and be the queen and blah, blah, blah. It's like, are you serious? This kid's so evil. And, you know, it took for him to actually behead her father until she actually started to hate him. And that's kind of when she started growing, I think. And now she's grown into a serious game player. Not quite on par with Queen Cersei, because I think she's the best game player of them all. Also the most evil, which probably makes her that much more dangerous. But something's going on with Sansa and Daenerys. She's not trusting. She's a bit cold. And one of the best quotes that I've heard in this episode was, Sansa asks, "What do dragons even eat?" To which Daenerys just looks at her and responds, "Whatever they want," which is They gotta eat whatever they want. They're freaking dragons. How are you gonna stop two dragons? So basically they end up having this quick meeting and trying to come up with a plan. They're, you know, obviously going to be allies, and it's a bit silly because they're all against Jon Snow right now because he didn't want the crown, the King of the North crown, but they don't realise there's freaking White Walkers coming, and you have no choice. Freaking ally with anyone you possibly can, otherwise you're gonna die. So I just think the North people don't realise how serious things actually are at the moment. So they had this quick meeting, and Sansa brings up a good point. You've got the Unsullied army now, you've got the Dothraki army, you've got two dragons. She doesn't have enough food to feed everyone. So it's a pretty well thought out, understandable question, but I just found the response so funny. So what do dragons even eat, she asks, and Daenerys just looks at her and says, whatever they want, right there. The reunion between Jon Snow and Arya Stark was amazing, very heartfelt. This was how many seasons in the making. Finally, they reunite. So much has happened. So much death with the Stark family has occurred, and they haven't ever reunited until this point. So this was a huge part of the episode for me. It was lovely, and Jon Snow has no idea how lethal Arya Stark actually is. In fact, he asks her something about Needle, her sword, that, oh, you still have it. Have you used it yet? And she says once or twice. Her body count is probably bigger than Jon Snow's himself, including all the White Walkers that he's killed. But anyway, he has no idea, and I just think that's really cool. I wonder who will actually find out how lethal and what a stone cold killer Arya has actually become. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully people find out, and hopefully we see her take out some people. I really want to see her go crazy. Bronn is one of my all-time favorite characters in this show. I really hope he doesn't die, but if he does, it's the last season anyway, so, you know, nobody's going to be missed after this because it's finished. But he appears to be in a whorehouse, and he had not one, not two, but three prostitutes with him when he was interrupted, and he's being offered some kind of mission by Cersei. It's believed to kill Tyrion and Jaime Lannister, to go on some sort of mission and assassinate them, and he's getting paid chests of gold. Bronn is a funny character. Like, he's a sellsword. He's all about money. He doesn't really have any friends, but sometimes you see a little bit of emotion, and he usually does the right thing. He and Jaime Lannister teamed up at one stage, and that was really awesome, even though he kind of makes it out like it's all about gold. I just wonder where this is going to go. It's pretty vague. I'm not sure what Bronn is going to actually do with this, but he is one of my favorite characters. I look forward to seeing where this goes. Yara Greyjoy is rescued by Theon, and we have yet another reunion. Theon kind of jumped ship and looked like he fled Yara and abandoned her. Yara was kept alive by Euron Greyjoy, obviously, and now Euron's gone to meet up with Queen Cersei, and I think he wants to, you know, make sweet, passionate love to her. He keeps saying he's going to have sex with the Queen, which he does accomplish in this episode, because I think Queen Cersei knows she needs all the help that she can get. She doesn't want to lose his army, his ships, so she allows him to bed with her. But she could have more plans. I think that she's probably got another baby happening, and it's Jaime Lannister's, and she needs to try and hide that it's actually Jaime's baby that she's holding. So I think she just slept with Euron just so she can have another baby, and then it'll look like it's Euron's, but it's actually Jaime's. I don't know. So many predictions that you can go with. But anyway, Theon saves Yara. Yara is going off to claim the Iron Islands again, and Theon said that he'll do whatever Yara wants, but it's clear that he wants to help the Starks in the north after everything that he's done to them. I kind of hope that they behead him. Even though he's done some good since then, I don't like the fact that he actually took the Castle of Winterfell back in, I think it was season 1. So for whatever reason, he does tell Yara that Daenerys has gone to the north, to Winterfell, and Yara allows him to go because he clearly would rather go there and fight with the Starks. So Yara ends up going to the Iron Islands to reclaim her homeland, and Theon ends up going to Winterfell. And then, of course, we're treated to this dragon flying scene where both Daenerys and Jon Snow mount the dragons and go for a bit of a fly, very romantic fly around. But we also learn that the dragon obviously allows Jon Snow to mount him and for him to let him actually fly him. But obviously we know that Jon Snow is a Targaryen, Daenerys does not. So she's super impressed. At least we're led to believe that she doesn't know. Maybe she feels something. Obviously, like, why would the dragon warm up to a northerner? There's obviously something there. I don't know. Maybe she's just playing dumb at this stage. I kind of think she might know something. Like, Jon Snow doesn't even know at this stage. He's definitely oblivious to knowing that he's a Targaryen, but he does find out in this episode, which I'm glad they didn't drag that out. But at this stage, he still doesn't know. Her, I'm not too sure about. She's clever, so I don't know whether she's just keeping her lips sealed for now, because surely she would know that there's something special or peculiar about Jon Snow. Why would her dragon allow him to mount him and show so much affection towards him, let him pat him and stuff? So not too sure what's going on with Daenerys there. I think she's hiding something or keeping things in, but Jon Snow does find out he's a Targaryen in this episode by none other than Samwell Tarly. So what happens is there's a scene where Sir Jorah and Daenerys come to greet Samwell because Samwell saved Jorah's life from that scaly disease, the Stoneman disease. And Samwell wasn't aware, but he finds out during the conversation. He mentions his dad's name, Sir Tarly, and Daenerys actually killed Samwell's father and brother for not bending the knee and showing their loyalty to Daenerys. And Samwell had no idea up until this point, so he's definitely very emotional about it. He's upset, and it's a bit of a shock to him. And at that point, he decides to walk out and actually tell Jon Snow that he's a Targaryen and the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark. And obviously Jon Snow's super shocked at this, but there's something interesting that Samwell mentions, and that is, Jon, you once sacrificed yourself for the kingdom. Would Daenerys do the same? This, like, in Game of Thrones, quotes mean a big thing. So I think that quote's going to mean that Daenerys is going to die at some stage, whether it be by the hand of Jon Snow, if he'll kill her for whatever, however that's going to, eventuate, or maybe she'll sacrifice herself in the end. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Jon Snow killing her. She might try and kill him because she wants to be the queen of all kingdoms, and Jon's the rightful heir now, and then he'll end up killing her instead, kind of in self-defense. I don't know, but something's going to happen, and I think Daenerys is going to be dead by the end of this season, but we'll see what happens there. Then we see Tormund and his crew here. They find the Umber Boy that's been killed by the Night King himself. We see the Night King symbol up on the wall there. And there was a really funny scene where they come across these other men, and they're like, "Oh, his eyes are blue." And Tormund's like, "My eyes have always been blue." So they're accusing him of being like a White Walker or a White. It's like, his eyes are blue. Kill him. He's like, "What do you mean? My eyes have always been blue." He's clearly not a White Walker, but that was a very, very funny moment there, and probably one of my favorite scenes in the episode. And this is what I was talking about, the Umber Boys being killed. He was given wagons and horses to go back, collect his men, and come back to Winterfell so they can, come up with a plan and get as many armies and soldiers as they can together so they can defend the North. Well, defend themselves, defend all life for that matter. Otherwise, the White Walkers and the Whites are just going to kill everybody and take over the world, it seems like. So pretty much, just to survive, they really need to ally and come up with a game plan. But he's killed now, and that's obviously the Night King symbol, which we've seen throughout the Game of Thrones seasons. Jaime Lannister arrives to Winterfell, and what a moment this is. The first Lannister to arrive, and who is he greeted by? Who has been waiting for Sir Jaime all of this time out in the cold by himself? The boy that he crippled in season 1 oh so long ago. So this is going to be interesting. Bran and Jaime have a bit of a stare down, and the episode ends there. Absolute superb ending, if you ask me. I wonder what's going to happen. Is he going to throw Jaime into a jail cell? I think most people are thinking that, but I kind of think that he'll kind of thank him because, I don't know. None of this probably would have happened if he wasn't crippled. I'm thinking he's going to have some sort of emotional moment there and forgive Jaime Lannister. I think that's my prediction. He could just throw him into a jail cell, possibly as well. I don't know. There is a lot of speculation that he gets thrown into a jail cell, and then Tyrion betrays everybody and betrays Daenerys and helps his brother, just like his brother helped him before when his father was going to kill him, Tywin Lannister, to escape. So apparently Tyrion does the same kind of thing for Jaime, but whether that happens, we don't know. There's just so much possibility and so many predictions to go through. But I personally think that he won't throw him in a jail cell. I think that Bran will have some sort of compassion and maybe just thank him or forgive him in some sort of way for what he did, crippling him, throwing him out of that window, or pushing him off the window. So overall, for me, the episode was amazing. Lots of reunions happening, and the first episode of the season in Game of Thrones usually, traditionally, is always a bit of a build-up. There's a lot of reunion stuff, and it just pretty much puts some pieces together and builds up what's the action that's definitely coming. And there's a lot of big shit that's coming this season. I can feel it. So even though there isn't a lot of action happening, there's a lot of pieces that come together. We're treated to Jon Snow finding out he's a Targaryen. They didn't drag it on, thank God, during this season. It's like first episode, bang, he finds out. I thought that was awesome. Lots of reunions, and it's definitely building up to a lot of special moments this season that we will never forget. So overall, on the Bannock scale of 13, Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 1 gets a very well-deserved 12. It really doesn't get a hell of a lot better, even though there was no oh my god moments in this. For me, really, there's still a lot of special stuff happening, and god damn, I'm gonna miss this show. There you have it. That is Game of Thrones. That is how it ended. That is Episode 1. Hopefully, after Episode 2, I can upload it straight away on the day. If you did enjoy this, you want to hear more Game of Thrones stuff, please give me a big like and a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I will be talking about more Game of Thrones in the future, unless everyone hates this video. So if you like it, important, big thumbs up, comment, subscribe, notification bell. Love you all. See you again real soon.